Alright, so good night everybody. Well, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're looking at this video. So Leon here, and I'm just here to give you some additional assistance in preparing you for the paper one that you have coming up in a few days or in a few weeks. It all depends. So what I did, I asked some students to give me the hardest questions that they came across from in the past paper book that they would have bought from CXC. And some students came up, they sent me their answers. I also asked some other students from different schools, and these are the questions that I came up with. All right, and I also did my own research, and I came up with these few questions. They might be easy to you, but these are some of the tricky questions. All right, so let's get straight into it. The first one that I have here, mind you, I don't know which year, I cannot remember which year these questions were taken from, but this is from 2004 to 2020, January 2020. All right, so let's get straight into it. This is an easy one. Which of the following represents the equation of a straight line? And we know the equation of the straight line is y equal mx plus c. That is a general form where c is the y-intercept and m is the gradient, and these two will be the x and y values. All right, so let's see which one of these here looks like this. So they say one here is out, and y equal to x plus 3. That is the answer. That looks like this general form, so that answer there is B. All right, so let's move on. So we have number 2. If P and Q are two sets where the number of elements in P union Q is equal to 13. Now this one is kind of blurry, right? And the number of elements in P intersect Q is equal to 6. And the number of elements in P is 9. Then the number of elements in Q, so we want to find the number of elements in Q. Alright, so we know the formula. When dealing with sets, the formula to find the number of elements is we have the number of elements in P union Q in this case is equal to the number of elements in P plus the number of elements in Q, subtract the number of elements in P intersect Q. Hopefully that will fit right there. This is a Q, right? So so what we do, we put in the values. Number of elements in P union Q, that will be 13 is equal to number of elements in P, and that is 9 plus the number of elements in Q. That was what we want to find, right? That's what we want to find here. So we don't know that. So let's give that a name, X. And that is subtract the number of elements in P intersect Q, which is 6. Alright, so let's work out this side here. Alright, so we group the like terms, but I don't have space, so I'll just work it out. So we have 9 subtract 6. That would give you 3. So we'll have 13 is equal to, alright, so we have 13 is equal to x plus 3. So we solve for x will be equal to 13. This 3 is adding, we take it to the subtract, x subtract 3. So x will be equal to 10. So that is the value for, that is the number of elements in Q, right? We put that to represent x. So number of elements in Q would be 10, which is B. Alright, so for this question, all you gotta do is equate the number of elements in the two sets. I add up the P and the Q, and I subtract it from the intersection, right? Nothing too big to remember here. Alright, so let's see the next one now. So this one here now. We have a circle and we have a sector of a circle, and it says the fraction of the circle which is shaded. So we want to find this piece here, right? This is the piece that we want to find. And we know the number of degrees in a circle is 360, and we know from here to here they showed us it's 285 degrees. So to find for this piece, we just subtract 285 from 360, or 285 from 360, 85. When you subtract that, you'll get a value of 75 degrees. So here is 75 degrees. So the question says now, what fraction of the circle is shaded? So this will be 75 over the total number of degrees, which is 360. And we know 75 divided by 15, that will give you 5. And we know 360 divided by 15, that will give you 24, right? So we have 5 over 24, that is a fraction that is shaded. 5 over 24, and that is A. So let's move on. Alright, so we have a simple one here. The number 3076 written in standard form, that is very easy, right? Did this plenty times. 3076 in standard form. What we do is move the decimal point to the first two numbers. Decimal point is here, so we move it 1, 2, 3 times. So now we'll have 3.076, and we are always multiplying by 10, by a power of 10 for standard form, right? By 10 raised to, it all depends on how many times you move the point. And we moved the point 3 times, and we went into that direction. Alright, so this will be raised to the positive 3 power, 10 raised to the positive 3 power. But if you were going in that direction, we would have raised it on negative power, right? So that would be 3.076 multiplied by 10 raised to the third power, which is A. Alright, so that one was easy. Remember, these are the questions that the students sent to me, right? So number 4 says, I think it will get hard as we go along. It says if 560 is shared in the ratio 2 to 3 to 9, the difference between the smallest and the largest share is. So when we're dealing with the ratios, the most important thing is to find what is the value for one share. Alright, so to find the value for one share for this here, we add up the ratio. 2 plus 3 plus 9, that will give you 2 plus 3 plus 9, that will give you 14. And then we take that 14, we divide it by this. So this will be 560 divided by 14. Alright, 560 divided by 14, when you divide that, you'll get 40. So the value of one share is 40, but they want us to find the difference between the largest and the smallest share. And we can see 9 is the largest share and 2 is the smallest share. So the difference between that will be 9 subtract 2, which will give you 7. So you want to find what is the value of 7 share. So this will be 7 times 40 will give you a total of 280. So the difference between the largest and the smallest share would be 280, which is C. Don't be carried away and just put 7. Well, they didn't give you 7 as an option. So we're moving on. Item 32 refers to the following figure. Yeah, in the circle above, the center O, the area is 20 cm squared. The area of the minor arc sector AOB is, so they want us to find the area of this minor arc here. Right? So the area of that would be, well, the whole area is 20 cm squared, right? So the area of the minor arc would be 60 over 360 multiplied by pi r squared, but we already found pi r squared to be 20. So it's 60 over 360 times 20, which is A. Alright, no need to check the other options, right? Good. Now this one here now. Item 50 refers to the following graph function. And it says the values of x for which y is equal to 4x minus x squared intersects y at equals 0 are. So they want you to find the values of x when y is equal to 0. What that is basically telling you. So let me just get this mark. So this is the graph, right? So we want to find what is the values of x when y is equal to 0. And we know for the line y equals 0, this is that line, right? Straight across here. Alright, let me try to get it good. This is the line, y equals 0, straight across there. Right? So if you want to find for the values of x, we look at where x will intersect that line on this graph. At this point and at this point. So that would be 4 and 0. So the values of x, the values of x when y intersect 0 will be 4 and 0, and that answer there is A, 0 and 4, right? Easy as that. Item 54, refers to the following diagram below. If O is the center of the circle, then y is equal to. Alright, this is simple circle theorem. The angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. So if this is 50, the angle here will be twice that, which is 100, and that is D. Alright, that one was easy. Good. So look at this one, another graph. It says using the graph above, the values of x when y is equal to -1. So we want now when y is equal to -1. Just now we wanted when y is equal to 0. So we go to -1 on the y-axis and we draw a line straight across there, and that will give you. Alright, let me get this graph quick. So to find the values of x, we look at the point of the graph where it intersects, where the line y equal -1 intersect the graph, and we can see that is here, right? And here, those are two intersections. So that would be approximately 2 point something, and this look like 2.2 and -2.2, which is D. Alright, so that one was easy. Just draw a line across the line, draw a line across the graph y equal -1, and you take the coordinates that intersect on the graph. Alright, so number 15 says, given that y varies directly as x and y is equal to 19, and when x is equal to 152, which of the following equation represent the relationship? Alright, so for variation, the formula used for variation is y equal kx, where k is the constant. K is what will relate x to y. So if you want to find what is the relationship between x and y, we got to find what is k. So we just make k the subject. This will be k will be equal to y over x is equal to k. And we know y is 19, so it's 19 over x, which is 152, is equal to k. Right? So when you break this down, you will get 19 ones 19, 19 eighths, right? So k is equal to 1 over 8. So you plug in k there. So the relationship will be y is equal to 1 over 8 x, which is C. Alright? Number 6 says a certain amount of money is shared in the ratio 2 to 3 to 9. The difference between the first and the second share is 40. Then the amount of money shared is, alright, so the ratio is 2 to 3 to 9. As I said earlier, the most important thing when dealing with the ratio is to find what is the value for one share. And if they say the difference between the first two shares, and first two shares you got is 2 and 3. So the difference between 2 and 3 will be 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So the difference is one share, and it said the difference is equal to 40. So that is telling you one share is equal to $40. Then the amount of money shared is, so to find the amount of money, it will be add up all of the ratios, 2 plus 3 plus 9. Alright, ignore the handwriting. 2 plus 3 plus 9, and that will give you a value of 14. So to find the total money share to be 14, the total shares times the value of one share, which is 40. 14 times 40 will give you 560. Right? And that is D. So this one says negative, and you got 1 over 2 raised to the third power. It's the same as, so this is negative, and this 1 over 2 is raised to the third power. So this will be 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. That is equal to negative 1 times 1 times 1. That will give you 1 over 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And that is equal to negative 1 over 8, which is equal to A. Right? Okay, so we continue in item 55, refers to the following diagram of the straight line y equal x. Sorry, so you have the line y equal x here. And it says, what is the image of the line y equal x when it is rotated anti-clockwise about O, which is the origin, through an angle of 90 degrees? Alright, so it rotated about O here, right? This is the center. So it says this line rotated anti-clockwise. That means it went in that direction, anti-clockwise. So if you want to find how it rotated about the origin, you're not moving this line, you're basically moving it 90 degrees. I mean, 90 degrees of this line through the origin, with the line would then turn like this. It will rotate like that. And that will be the new line. So it says, what is that line? That line will be equal to, it's not y equals 0, because y equals 0 is straight across here, right? That is y equals, no, not across there, across, I'm trying to get it good, well, here, somewhere above there, right? X equals 0, that is straight across, well, across through the origin. Y equal x, well, that is that line that we got, so the answer is D, right? Y equal negative x, that is this line here. Good, so this one says, which of the following does not represent the graph of a function? And we know for the graph of a function, when you draw up lines straight up, it should only touch one point of the graph, right? As long as it touches more than one point when you draw a line vertically, it is not a function. So this one represents a function, because if you draw straight up, it don't touch one part. Let's go down and continue. This one also represents a function. If you continue drawing up, you'll just touch one part. And what about this one? If you draw straight up, you will pass through more than one point of the graph. So C does not represent a function. C does not represent a function. And this one, if you draw straight up, you will just pass through one, right? So the answer there is C. Good. So this one, a man's salary is 45,000. His tax-free allowance is 13,000. He has to pay a tax of 20% on his taxable income. The tax payable is, now this is his salary, and this is tax-free allowance. So to find 20% of his taxable outcome, we gotta subtract his salary from the money that is not being taxed, which is allowance. So this will be 45,000 subtract 13,000. That will give you 32,000. So we got to find 20% of this, and this 20% of that to be 20 over 100 times 32,000. And this 0 cancel that 0, this 0 cancel that 0. So it's 2 times 3, 20 times 3, 20, and that will give you 6,400. And the answer there is B. Alright, so this one is kind of blurry. So it says item 30 refers to the following parallelogram in W, X, Y, Z. In the parallelogram, R is the midpoint of XY. So this is R, right? So, zoom out here. Based on the information above, ZR is equal to, so ZR, we're going from Z to R. And if you want to go from Z to R, we go from Z to Y, and then we go from Y to R, right? You'll be using the triangle law of vectors. All right, so that would be ZY plus half, this is the top here, ZY and WX, sorry, they are the same thing, right? So we can say ZY, or you can say WX. Oh, why I keep saying Z? So let's see. So it's WX plus, you can say X half XR, right? So or you can say half YX. So let's see which one of the options got there. WX. C. WX. Alright, let me try to erase it. Let me erase everything. C says Wx, which is here. We said this is the same thing like this, right? Wx plus half Wz, which is the bottom here. So the bottom here is the same as the top here, right? So it's Wx plus half of this, which is the same thing here, which will give you the same thing like this, right? So the answer there is C. Alright, so item 6 refers to the following diagram not drawn to scale, which shows two right angle triangles. The length of the side x is... Alright, so we want to find for this side x. If we can use Pythagoras theorem, but before we can use Pythagoras theorem, we got to find this side here. So that side would be, let's work it out quick at the top here. Let's call this y, right? Y squared is equal to 6 squared plus 8 squared, right? Y squared will be equal to 6 sixes, 36 plus 8 8 64. So y will be equal to the square root of, and out of these two you get 100. So y is equal to 10. Alright, so we can erase, let's erase this and put 10. Wow, fancy 10 by 10, right? So we know this side is 5 and this side is 10. So if we want to find for x, let me use another color ink by x squared will be equal to, using the Pythagoras theorem, the longest side is equal to the square of the sum of the square of the two remaining sides. 10 squared plus 5 squared. X will be equal to, x squared will be equal to 10 tens 100 plus 5 5s 25. And x will be equal to the square root of, when out of 125 you get 125, and that is equal to D, right? Square root of 125. Alright, so this one says item 44 refers to the following diagram, which shows a cumulative frequency polygon of lengths in meters, 20 fish that are caught by 2 fishermen. And the question says the interquartile range. Yeah, so when we talk about interquartile range, you want to find a range of numbers, right? Interquartile range is IQR. Interquartile range is equal to Q3 subtract Q1. For this cumulative frequency, it's divided into 4 quarters. The first quarter here, second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, which can be the whole. So the interquartile range is, you gotta find 3/4 of this 20, because it's 20 fishes in R, right? And we know 3/4 of the 20 would be 15. Alright, so it's 15, but it's not 15 subtract Q1. And one day all depends on what is Q1. We gotta find the part of the graph. 15 is here, the cumulative part, and we gotta draw a line straight across. Wow. Draw a line straight across on 15, straight to the graph, and draw a line straight down from 15, and that will give you about 3.5, 3.8. Let's average maybe we'll work with average. Let's average 3. That look like 3.8, right? So let's say 3.8 subtract Q1, and Q1 will be 1/4 of 20, which is 5, right? So we draw across on 5. It's gonna be a straight line, right? And we draw down, and I remember so that will be like 1.2 by. So that looks like 1.2, 1.2. And we will not get an accurate answer, but the closest answer we'll choose. So it's 3.8 subtract 1.2. Remember I said we will not get an accurate answer, but the closest answer possible, because it all depends on how you interpret it, right? So when you work with this, you'll get 2.6. And the closest answer to 2.6 would be what, by 5? 2.5, which is C. See the answer is C. See, we are off by 0 point something somewhere, either here or here, right? So the answer is 2.5 though. Alright, so we continue in this one. 2x minus 3 open bracket x plus 8 is equal to, alright, this is fairly straightforward. First thing you do is you distribute this 3 to here and you distribute it to there. So we'll have 2x subtract 3 times x will give you 3x, negative 3 times negative 8, that will give you negative what? Negative 24, right? Negative 2 subtract negative 3, that will give you a negative x subtract 24, and that is equal to b. Alright, so let's answer this one on the bottom here. You got 5 open bracket x plus y subtract 3 open bracket x minus y, and let's distribute the 5. Distribute the 5 over here and distribute the negative 3, and then you group up the like terms. So 5, let's distribute the first bracket. 5 times x will give you 5x, plus 5 times y will give you 5y, negative 3 times x will give you negative 3x, negative 3 times negative y will give you positive 3y, right? And then you group the like terms. So we'll have 5x subtract 3x plus 5y plus 3y. If you don't know about grouping like terms, please go and check out the other video that I did. So it's 5x minus 3y, that will give you 2x plus 5y plus 3y, 8y. So this 2x plus 8y, which is C. Alright, so the final question that I have here now. It says a surveyor sets up an instrument 20 meters from the foot of the building and records the angle of elevation of the top of the building. Alright, so this is the man, he set it up, and they're asking us an estimate height of the building obtained by calculating. Alright, so we want to find the height of the building, which is going to be over this side, right? But from using this diagram, we can find up to this piece using one of the ratios. And this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. So the ratio that we got to use when dealing with opposite and adjacent is tan. So it is tan theta is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Right? So tan theta will be, tan will be equal to theta, in this case will be 40, is equal to the opposite, let's call that x, over the adjacent, and the adjacent is the bottom piece here, which is 12, right? So we're coming down on the bottom here. So x will be equal to tan. Alright, so the x will be equal to, we take over the 12 will then multiply 12 tan 40, and that will just give you the height for this piece here. You want to find for this remaining piece, and that will be the man's height. So we add the man's height, which is 1.6, and 12 tan 40 plus 1.6, or we can say 1.6 plus 12 tan 40, and that is D. And that brings us to the end of the questions that were selected by the students. I hope this helped. I hope this video helps. For those of you that found this video easy, well, you are in good order. You will do excellent in the upcoming exam. Anyways, I wish everybody the best. Keep practicing.